How are you?
I had a hard time waking up this morning. Um,
Same.
yeah, I just had a hard time. Whenever I set an alarm, so this is just a tidbit about me. Whenever I set an alarm and I know I've got to get up and do something in the morning, I have a really hard time sleeping the night before because for some reason I don't trust my alarm. And so I will wake up 2 or 3 times through the night and like, what time is it? And I'll grab my phone and I'll look at it like, did I miss it? Did it not go off? And I don't know why that is. I don't think I've ever actually missed an alarm. I've missed setting an alarm before, but I don't think I've ever actually not woken up to an alarm that I've set. So I didn't sleep super great last night. Also, there's a full moon that's been going on, and we are trying very hard not to turn the air conditioning on in our house, even though it's been wicked hot this week. So during the day, we close all of our windows, and then during the night, we open them all up and put fans in them to bring the air in. But that means I can't close my curtains. So this stupid full moon is shining through my window last night, and I'm like, no, I need it to be dark. Go away, go away. Stop waking me up. Stop making me think it's lighter than it is outside.
No.
All that to
I
say,
love full moons.
I didn't sleep real great last night. I like them when I'm camping. I like them when I'm at a campfire. I don't like them when I can't close my curtains. They keep me awake. Like, no, let me go to sleep. Go back to sleep. Get cloudy or something. But the really, really hot stretch is past. And so now I'm cold enough with the windows open that I have a sweater on, and I have a throw over my lap because it's like, I don't know, 60 degrees in here right now, it feels like. But it won't stay this way all day, so I'm trying to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we are.
Nice. I don't know why I had such a hard time getting up. Like, I don't think I slept very well. Um, I also like kept waking up. Like, did I oversleep? Did I oversleep? Surely Diana would call me if I overslept. But then I remembered Diana would not call me if I overslept because I have overslept before and like missed my alarm for when we were supposed to record.
I did that. I was like, if she doesn't call, then that means she doesn't feel good, and I'm gonna let her sleep. That's my logic.
I have slept through several alarms. There was once in college, I was the workhead, and then once I was just the acting workhead. The first year I was acting workhead, second year I was workhead because it was a work study college, and so like I am the student supervisor. And the first year I set an alarm and had a massive building, and we had like inspections coming the next day, and I set an alarm for sure. The alarm turned itself off because
Mhm.
it went on for so long.
Mhm.
And um I had people calling me, texting me, knocking on my door. I slept through it all. And I didn't show up to work. And I was the supervisor.
Wow,
And then the next day,
like my nightmare.
the next day or the next year, um the same thing happened, but like I was trying to stay awake because I was like, I have to be up at 4. I can do that. I can stay up until 4. I can go down there for an hour and then I can come back and finally go to bed at 6 or 5 or whatever. And I set an alarm just in case. And I fell asleep. And the same thing happened again. Calls, texts, people knocking on my door did not wake me up. I woke up at 10
Holy cow, Amanda.
twice.
I don't know if I could recover from that.
And like the people on my crew, they're my age, and like they had no mercy. We had to get up this early, and we had to come down here, and we had to do your job. And I was like, I cannot believe I did this. I'm so sorry. Like, you know that I didn't do this on purpose. I tried to be so responsible." And they were like, "No, we don't know you didn't do this on purpose."
They were rousing you hard. But so today we are going to be talking about getting beach ready
Yes.
because I just went to the beach and Amanda's getting ready to go to the beach and we both love it. So we wanted to talk about the things that make it better. Like, how do you do things at the beach to make the best of your time? And also to not, like get burnt, blow your whole budget on one thing. Um, and something I didn't put on my outline that I sent for Amanda was like the beach has changed a lot for me with the kids as they've gotten older. And this was definitely one of our best beach trips ever. Um, and I think part of that is because the kids are older and I was not so scared of the water. So the last time we went was 2 years ago. So Eb was 9, Edie was 7, and Tori was 6 the last time we were at the beach. And they'd had swim lessons, but they weren't very strong swimmers by any stretch of the imagination. So the last time we went to the beach, I was very distracted with don't drown, drown, don't drown, no drowning, please don't drown. And I wanted them to have good experiences because I know that, one getting knocked down and tumbled in the surf can just turn you off the beach potentially the rest of your life. Like I've got people that I've talked to that that's happened to them. Whether when they were little, they got caught in one of those surfs where they just got tumbled and couldn't figure out which way was up. And they're like, I never want to go to the beach. Like I never want to go to the water again. And I was like, I really don't want that to happen to my kids. So this was a really good trip, and I wanted to share with you guys some of the things that we learned from our last trip that made this trip better, and hear from Amanda for some of her things that she's going to do on her upcoming trip.
Yes.
So,
And for the record, I love the ocean so much that I have a wave tattoo on my back.
mhm,
So, like, it's waves and mountains, but I love them both so much. Like,
yep,
they both just feed my soul in different ways.
yes, yes, definitely. Both of those places for me as well are just like comfort food for my soul. I don't know how else to explain it because it like fills you up and calms you down at the same time.
Mhm.
I remember when we got to the Airbnb that we were staying at, we went ahead and just dropped all of our stuff and just walked to the beach because they were still finishing cleaning up the Airbnb from the last people that they had. And as soon as you can hear it, like you're not even on the sand yet and you can hear the surf. And I was just like, oh, like all of my muscles were relaxed. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus, we made it. Like this is what I needed. Like it just is immediately calming. Um, so yeah, just I love the beach. And the mountains is the same thing for me. But it's gotta be like Glacier Mountains. That's what does it for me. Or there's some places in Smoky Mountains where there's some particular trails that I've found that will have an equivalent effect where I'm just like, okay, peace. Like I absolutely feel peaceful here
Mhm.
and comforted, for lack of a better word. But yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Appalachians and the Smokies,
Mm.
and I can certainly I can manage the Ozarks. I saw the Ozarks for the first time last summer, and I was like, "This looks like the Appalachians, but a little bit taller. Alright, we can deal with this."
Yeah. I my association with the Appalachians is car sickness because every time we went to go see family in the Appalachians, I got deathly car sick because we'd be riding with my great granddaddy in his Cadillac. That's like a ground boat because
Mhm.
it goes whoop, whoop, whoop around every single turn. And I vomited multiple times. My love for the Appalachians developed much later in life because I hated them when I was a child. Because I was like, they just mean I get sick. Like, that's what they mean to me. Did not have a good way to manage my car sickness at that point. C-bands, y'all. As an adult and for my kids, C-bands totally work and they don't knock you out like Dramamine does.
Yes.
Random soap.
I'm gonna I'm gonna need some of those, by the way, because I am booking my Disney cruise today.
Yay!
But it's a little off topic. What I'm still going
I
to a
mean, there's
beach.
gonna be a beach. There's gonna be a beach. Yeah. It's just a different way to get to the beach. So, one of the first things that I want to talk about is sunburn prevention and treatment. That's not a fun thing to talk about, but the last time we went, we lost a whole day and probably a day and a half because I thought about everybody's tops. I had long sleeve swimsuits for the girls. I had a sunscreen shirt for Eb. I had a sunscreen shirt for me and Chris. I didn't think at all about anybody's legs. And all of us got sunburned legs so badly we could barely sit down, like all the way up to the swimsuit line. And we lost probably a day and a half of our vacation because of it. So please take it seriously. Please learn from us and don't do it to yourself when you go to the beach because A, the sun further south is different. It doesn't matter if you don't burn up here. The sun, the closer you get to the equator, is more intense. And then you've got the water and the surf that's going to wash off any kind of sunscreen you put on and just add to, like, magnify the effect of the sun because your legs are always wet because that's the part that wants to be in the water. So please, please, please put sunscreen on your legs and please, please, please put it under the edge of your swimsuit or you'll end up with a burned tuchus because it's a thing and it's no fun.
Yes.
Um, So, in the vein of sunburn prevention, I highly recommend those long sleeve swimsuits for the girls or for yourself, or finding a SPF or a UPF or however they define it, long sleeve top. And I know you're thinking, oh, that sounds like no fun, and that's going to be so hot. I promise you, it's not. Um,
Yeah, it's really not.
it's really not hot. It's really not uncomfortable. My Chris, my husband, he could feel himself getting burnt. And like, you know how you can kind of feel the sun when it's getting too much and you can really feel your skin start reacting and he could feel himself overheating. And so he went ahead and grabbed his long sleeve shirt to put on. And he said it was like relief because I actually
Mhm.
didn't feel as hot because I had the protection. So I highly recommend those also because everyone has had the experience of putting on sunscreen and missing the spot. And you end up with this huge burn spot and it's awful. And you're not going to experience that with the sunscreen shirts. They also mean you don't have to wrestle your kids so hard for the sunscreen. Just
Mhm.
reduces your work all the way around. Thank you, babe. I had tea delivered to me.
My
Yes,
swim shirt is actually the long sleeve one that I have. Everyone makes fun of how many swimsuits I have, but
I love it.
my
It
long
cracks
sleeve
me up. I can't
my
say
long
anything because
sleeve
I have a lot of swimsuits now too.
oh, let's see, I have 2 that are exactly the same, but 2 different colors. I have my long sleeve, but what I was saying, that one is black.
Mm,
It is a black long sleeve swim shirt. Was my favorite thing that I wore last year to the beach.
mm.
I have a really pretty colorful one. I have a blue one. I have a tie-dye one. That's like the only one piece I have. No, I take that back. The 2 Target ones that are the same colors are one pieces, but those look like jumpers, and that's why they're my favorite.
That sounds
And
really
they have
cute.
pockets. I have 2 swimsuits with pockets.
Swimsuits with pockets. That sounds brilliant. Everybody needs pockets. Um, Another one obviously is hats. And not everybody needs them, but Evie and I, unless we were actually in the water, we had hats on all the time. And A great place to look for them is Walmart. They've got great big old sun hats and they're fabulous. Um, so once you're back out of the sun and you realize, oh, I'm a little pink because anybody out there that's got freckles, you know you're going to be pink. Like it doesn't matter what you do. Um, I've got two recommendations for that. And one is a supplement, and I meant to grab the bottle and I didn't. But I am not a doctor, prefacing. I am not a doctor. You can talk to your doctor, you can do your own research. I am not giving medical advice. We're going to be very clear. Um, but there is a supplement that we have found to be very, very helpful for dealing with sunburns, and it is called Cataplex F. And it is from Standard Process, is the brand that creates it. And you can find it on Amazon, or you can just Google it and find it from other places as well. And the way that I've had it explained to me is when you get a sunburn, and I don't know that this is full on true, but this is how they explain that the cataplex works, is you have an excess of vitamin D in your skin and your body can't cope with it. And cataplex F is supposed to be vitamin F, and it like absorbs and counteracts the excess vitamin D and helps your body process it faster. I don't know what it actually does, but I will tell you, I have had sunburns that I knew were going to heal and were going to take me a week to get over, go away in 2 days with very little to no peeling by taking these. And you can take a lot of them. They're food based. And I'm really burnt. I will take 3 or 4, 2 or 3 times a day, and I'll give them to the kids. Um, and I love them. They are so helpful for if you get sunburnt. The other thing that we do is I make an after sun spray, and y'all know that I'm crunchy and I like my essential oils. And so I get one of those little empty 4-ounce spray bottles and I put, I don't know, probably, I don't measure this very closely. So it's like 15 to 20 drops of lavender and 15 to 20 drops of frankincense in a spray bottle. And then I top it off with distilled water and you shake it up and you spray it on everything that's burnt. And it feels so good. And it helps speed that healing up as well. Like it relieves the burn a lot. For me, it relieves the burn better than aloe. Like I feel like it helps me feel better faster than like an aloe cream does. So those are my post burn suggestions. And then another burn preventative suggestion that I've found for myself and my family is seed oils. So like soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, um, rapeseed oil. I notice that when I don't eat those, like I avoid them and they're hard to avoid. I know this isn't possible for everybody with your budget or your diet or whatever. But when I avoid those as much as possible, they're in lots of processed food, but I don't burn as bad. Like I don't burn as easily. So if I eat things like coconut oil and butter and ghee and tallow and bacon fat, like if I use those in my diet instead of soybean oil and corn oil and things like that, it takes me a lot longer to get sunburnt, and sometimes I won't even burn at all. Like when I eat those, especially in like mayonnaise and chips and all that kind of stuff, the hardest for me to avoid is chips because I love my chips. But when I'm eating a lot of those, I will get burned in like 15 minutes. It doesn't take me long at all in the sun to get a sunburn. But when I'm avoiding those couple of months, I don't sunburn almost at all or not very quickly. So those are my suggestions for the sun. Amanda, do you have anything to add? I know you talked about your swimsuit. Do you have other suggestions?
Yes. For those of us less crunchy.
Yes, please. We need less crunchy options.
Um, Backing up a little bit, the hat. So, quick question. Why do
Because
you take your hat off when you go into the water?
I don't want to lose it.
Oh, see, sweetheart. You just pull a bun around it. So, because then, like, if I have obviously I couldn't do it like this, but if I have a bun and I tie it on the outside, it holds it
Oh
on
yeah.
better.
So the one I was using
Uh,
was a big old like sun
oh,
hat,
the big hat, yeah.
but that would work really well if you had like a ball cap.
Yes. I almost exclusively do ball caps at the beach now because I love the water. The water is my happy place. I don't care if that water is the ocean, the lake, the pool, my bathtub. I crave water.
You're a mermaid.
Yes. And so I'm happiest at the beach in the ocean, and I will wear ball caps. That way, if there's like a massive wave coming, it doesn't perfectly shield my face, but I do have a little bit more of a shield. And
Mhm.
it helps me like while I'm out in the water. And then if it gets wet too, when I go back to the beach, it's just extra like coolant.
Cooling. Yeah, there you go. Makes sense.
Um, so I don't use the big hats as much. I do have one this year just in case. But I prefer like ball caps and visors just for that reason. Um, I like after sun lotion. For almost a decade now, I have called this the best kept secret of summer. I love it. I can't even remember the name of the company that makes it. Maybe Hawaiian Tropic.
I
It's
mean,
green and it has a flower on it. What is that
that sounds
flower?
like Hawaiian tropic, like a hibiscus flower.
Yes. Yes, there's a hibiscus flower on it and it
That sounds like Hawaiian
smells
tropic.
so good. And I got it. I going to the beach and I always burn. Always, always, always. No matter what I do, I burn. And I got that to take along with me and I burned a little, not a lot. Like it wasn't like, you know, I burned a little bit on my first day. I put the lotion on and it like it's aloe and something else and it like pulled the heat out. And then the next day I was tan
Hmm.
and not burned. And then like if it's a bad one, I'll just heal quicker
Hmm.
and I'll use it for a while after I've been burned because it helps with the peeling process.
Hmm.
And I have used it on my friends' kids and now my kid. If we have been like outside, my kid especially doesn't burn. He's never been sunburned before. He tans instantly and he can be outside all day long.
That's Ebenezer. The only time he's ever burned is when we were that one time at the beach and he got burned a little bit on his legs.
Yeah.
Other than that, he doesn't burn.
I still put the after sun lotion on him every evening and he loves it. Like he loves lotion and I make like a fun sound while we do it. So like as I'm rubbing it on him, I go whoosh, 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 and he'll do it with me. And then he wants lotion like forever. I don't think the kid could ever get tired of it. It's like a toy to him. But that way I can be sure that if he has any itty bitty of a burn, he's not gonna really feel much of it.
Good.
Um, Sunscreen. Use your sunscreen
Well, that's what
every
we do
hour.
for our legs is oil up, like put all of the sunscreen on the legs and the faces.
Hmm.
We can't cover those. Like it's awkward to have pants.
Yeah. Um, I typically will do a cream and then an hour later I'll do a quick spray.
Mm.
And then an hour later I'll do another spray. And then another
Yes.
hour I'll do cream.
And do it on the hour, guys. I know it's
Yes.
such a bummer to stop. It's such a pain at the beach because of all the sand, but do it on the hour. Like that's when you get burnt is if you're not refreshing the sunscreen.
Set an alarm.
Mhm.
One hack that I've seen, I've not tried it yet because so far my kid doesn't fight me because, like I said, he loves lotion. Um, is using a beauty blender to
Mhm.
put the sunscreen on your kid's face because then you're not like rubbing them, you're just dabbing them, still goes on, and they don't fight you as much. And especially for little girls, like it's just so fun that they get to wear makeup. But I think that's it for my list
Okay.
for
Well,
suns
I
prevention.
think another one that I just thought about is like stay hydrated.
Hmm.
And it sounds silly when you're by water that you need to stay hydrated, but it can really, you can get dehydrated so quickly between the wind and the salt and the sun. And when you're dehydrated, I feel like anyway, you burn more easily and it's more difficult to recover and it takes more out of you. So, your insulated cups, take your drinks with you, stay super hydrated. Take drink breaks when you're putting your sunscreen back on, even if you don't think you feel thirsty, drink some water or whatever you brought with you while you're putting your sunscreen on, and make your kids do the same because they don't want to stop to drink. The water is way too cool. They are not going to stop to drink.
Yeah.
Um, so some just reminders of really cheap, fun things that you can do at the beach that honestly I forget about every time we go. And then I get there and I'm like, oh, I should have brought that. I should have done that. That looks really cool. That would have been really easy to do. And some of them I remembered this year, but there's a lot of them that I didn't remember. So one that we did get to do that my sister told me about, and I've never done this before, and it was really fun, was one night we went ghost crab hunting. Never done this before, and it was so cool. But it was also kind of freaky because they're really fast. Um, so you wait until it's dark and you get a flashlight and you get your sand bucket and you get your sand shovel and you go out to the beach and you point your flashlight down as you're walking along the beach and you look for movement because that's the only way you see them is when they move. And you will find these little bitty ghost crabs all over the beach. And you can use your shovel to gently pick them up and put them in your bucket so you can look at them closer and measure them and like see them. And then you can let them go at the end, obviously. But kids thought that was the coolest thing. And I thought it was cool. Like, not just the kids, I thought it was cool. And you'll see some other families sometimes doing it, but we were one of the only families that night when we were out looking for ghost crabs. And some of them, guys, are like thumbnail size. Like they're itsy bitsy. But we found one also that was like this big. And I know that doesn't sound big, but when you most of them you found are this big, it was huge. And bless her heart, Evie was completely done at that point. She was like, nope, no more. That's freaking me out. And it's really fast. And I don't want to be here anymore.
Yes, I feel Evie. I don't look for crabs. I hate them.
um, So if you're adventurous and you think little critters are cool, or your kids think little critters are cool, I mean, go to Walmart and get one of those $1 flashlights. That's what we did. Like you can go to Dollar General, wherever, get one of those cheap little $1 flashlights. They've already got batteries in them, and you've probably already got a sand bucket and you've already got a shovel. You're set to go sand crab hunting. Um, Sand castles, of course. Like, of course, of course, of course. Got to build you some sand castles or some kind of sand art. Um, when we were looking for to like refresh our sand equipment, we found this kit that's like build a medieval sand castle. And it came with like the curved turrets to do towers and like blocks that you could stack on top of each other of sand. And it also came with dragons and knights and ladies and horses. So we had to
Okay.
get that. That was like, of course, we have to get that. Frisbees. I did not think of this until this last year, but there was people playing frisbee, and I was like, oh, this makes sense if we're bored building things and we're still spending time on the beach doing a frisbee. I love watching people fly kites,
Mhm.
and it's the perfect place because you have a constant, steady breeze. Um, there's tons of people playing ball. That's not my thing, but if that's your thing, ball is totally a great thing to bring. But I wouldn't bring those great big beach balls because it's just going to blow away and be a pain in the
Yeah.
neck. Like, get something a little heftier. Use like a volleyball or a soccer ball or a football, something like that. And then we got a game at Easter specifically for the beach because we knew we were going to go. And we love the game Spot It. So it's the round cards and it's a matching game. And they have one that is called Beach Spot It. And it is laminated. So it's waterproof. And instead of coming in a tin, most of the time they come in a round metal tin. It comes in a net mesh bag. So you can shake the sand out of it and you can, if it gets wet, it's not a big deal. It'll dry out. Y'all, I loved it. The kids loved it. I think it cost like $12. It was totally worth it. It was so fun and it's so easy, like just and perfect for the beach. It was great. I've never seen one that's laminated before, but every single card is laminated. We had no issues with it getting wet, no issues with the sand. It was so fun and so portable. So that was a great one. And there was something else I was going to say. Apparently, I didn't write it down. But just being at the beach, like getting there is the expensive part. And I think so many people, there's cool things to do. Don't get me wrong. We did other things at the beach. But my goal for going to the beach was being at the beach. And so having these other things gave you more things to do at the beach and enjoy
Mhm.
that time more. Oh, I know what I was going to say, and I'm going to save it for later because it goes in a different section. So we're good.
Okay.
But those were my things. Was like these are just like some fun, affordable things to do that keep you entertained and keep you busy while you're enjoying the beach and the ocean. So,
Nice.
do you have something,
So
Amanda?
I have a couple of things. Not very many because like yeah, my preferred thing to do at the beach is to be in the water. But I wished I would have thought of it last year. I'm for sure doing it this year, and it's pretty much the only toys we're taking. I don't, girl moms, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't even know what I would have liked. But for boy moms or girls, if you girls are into trucks, there was a woman last year that goes, when we go the first time of the year, we go with my husband's church that he grew up in. And so there's a big crowd. There's usually like 30 to 40 of us that go down. And we go the same time every year. We have church on Sundays. So that's really fun. But one of the women brought her little boy construction vehicles. And so,
That's
and
brilliant. I
yeah,
love that.
she was sweet enough to share with E, who loves all things with wheels.
Hmm.
And he would sit with a digger and he would dig and pour it into the dump truck. And this isn't like a year and a half old.
Hmm.
And then he would drive it over and then dump it out and then drive back. So this year, all I'm taking him is a skid steer and a dump truck.
Yes,
At
I
least
love
for
it.
like beach toys. We'll take stuff to do like a pail and a
Hmm.
shovel. I'm not expecting him to play with that. He
Hmm.
didn't much last year. He doesn't seem interested right now. I think when he's older, he'll get more into it and like sandcastles and stuff. But right now, like all of the construction vehicles.
Hmm.
Um,
That's
but that's for
brilliant.
littles. Yeah. Like
My son
she,
would have loved that. We'd done it
yeah,
when he was littler. I don't know that he would be as into it now, but he would have loved that all the way up until at least 7 or 8.
yeah. So, for adults, like I said, we go with a big group of people and we all hang out at the beach together. There is always a game going on. I've never played because, again, like that's just not what I'm at the beach to do. But there's a group of guys that they go golfing a lot and they bring golf balls and plastic cups. They take two of them and they dig a hole and they put the cups down in it and they do teams of two on opposite sides. And it's like horseshoes or cornhole.
That's
And you
awesome.
have to try to throw the ball into the cup, and whoever gets in the cup or the closest to the cup is the one that wins.
Hmm.
It looks like fun if that was like what I was there for.
You're there for the water. That's it.
Yeah. The only time I'm out of the water now, like before I had a kid, I
Yeah.
wasn't out of the water.
Yeah.
Now I get out to give somebody else a break to let them go do something fun.
Mhm.
But that's all for me.
Cool. So it wouldn't be me if there wasn't books involved. And um, we do read aloud stuff anyway with the kids. We have lots of read aloud books that we do. So we try to stock up on read alouds from the library before we even go, kind of like as prep. Like, this is what we're going to do. Give us some ideas, kind of get the juices going. And then we take some of them with us. And this year, I didn't take as many because I was worried about losing them and leaving them and all those kinds of things. But for kids' books, my favorite resource, especially if you have littles and you're still doing a lot of picture books, is a website called Read Aloud Revival. And she has all the book lists. She has a book list for every month of the year, picture books. They're lovely. They reach a lot of range of ages. Wow, that word did not want to come out. They reach a lot of range of ages for kids that are still into picture books. But then she also has picture books by subject. She has picture books for different parts of history. She has picture books for poetry. She has picture books for mathematics. She has picture books for the zoo. She has picture books for the beach. And the only complaint I have is, of course, there's different kinds of beaches. And she has a lot of them for places that are like rocky beaches with tide pools and things like that. And we did not get tide pools on this trip. Someday I'm going to go see tide pools. I don't know where it's going to be. I'm going to go see them and it's going to be amazing. But this trip, we got several of her books that I knew already that I liked and we'd had before. But then I wanted to share with you some of our favorites because that's just me. So one of them is by Jill Barklin, and it's called Sea Story. I don't know how well you can see that.
A little.
I love these books. There's a series called Brambly Hedge of books that she creates, and this may not show up very well, but can you see the detail in the
Mm,
pictures?
can you tilt it back again a little? Mm,
Not wanting to focus.
yeah, it's
Hello. Nope, not gonna focus for me. So anyway, she puts so much detail into her illustrations. The kids and I can just sit and look for so long and find new things every time we read. Because in this little boat, even though you can't see it very well, there is like all the compartments. Like she cut the boat in half and you can see all the compartments and you can see their bunks and you can see their storage and you can see their food and you can see their table and their couch and where they're loading things and you can see where the anchor is and where like the water is stored and then up above you can see the deck and all the things. Like it's just so much detail and so fun. I
we
love
can see it
all of her
there.
books. Yeah. So they're just delightful and they're calm and nothing scary happens if you have a kid who's a little bit scared. Um, they're just really, I love all of the books, but this one we got because we were going to the sea and it was a sea story. Um, the other one we got is Mr. Putter and Tabby Clear the Decks. If I haven't said it before, Mr. Putter and Tabby are my favorite. They're old and they like being old and they like doing things that old people like to do. Um, but they're still really funny and really sweet. So it's about them taking a trip on a boat in the summer, and we got to take a trip on a boat this summer, and it was really fun. If you have kids who are starting to read, this is a really good. Mr. Putter and Tabby are really good early chapter books for your kids to read on their own. That's two. The other one, I apologize because we've owned it for a long time, so it no longer has a dust jacket on it because dust jackets just don't last very long. This book is called Flotsam by David Weisner, Wiesner. It's a wordless book, which I think are really fun. So the story is told entirely through the pictures.
Hmm.
Um, and there's again, I wish I could get this like focus thing off so you could actually see happening. Um, it's about a boy who goes to the beach and he gets bored. But apparently his family think it's cool to bring magnifying glasses and a microscope. I don't know anybody else who brings a microscope to the beach, but he's got a microscope with him at the beach. And he finds a camera that washes up on shore, the old camera, and he goes and gets the film developed. And you just watch him go through this without any words or anything like that. And when he sees the pictures, he sees things that are kind of odd and kind of like magical looking. So, like, I'm not gonna give it all away for you, but can you see that where
Mm-hmm.
there's an octopus family with couches and a light at the bottom of the ocean, and they're chilling out. And there's reading books to each other, and they use a lanternfish in their light for their living room or whatever it is. Um, so it's just really clever and fun, and the kids love it because I can sit there and talk to them about it, but they can read it completely on their own. They think that's really cool. And it just gets your imagination going for what's happening in the ocean you don't see. Sorry, this is taking more time than I thought, but I really like
Oh,
these books. They're
you're
really
good.
fun. The other one is also a wordless book, and it's called Wave. And I've only discovered this book in the last maybe year and a half or 2 years. Love it. It's so fun. Um, so it's a little girl, and it's just in two colors. It's like black, white, and blue. The whole book is, and it's her playing with a wave. And it
Like
sounds really
Moana.
simplistic. Yeah, it sounds kind of simplistic, and in a way it is. But it's just her getting to know the ocean and the wave, and it gives the ocean personality. Like she pushes it and she pulls it and pretends she's in control of it. And there's seagulls in it. There's no words. Again, my kids kind of like that because before they could read, they could read these books. And you can make
Yeah.
up your own story, you can put your own words to it. Um, so she just gets to play and play and play. And the ocean, of course, eventually gets a really big wave and chases her back like she was chasing it and smashes her with the water. But when it smashed her with the water, sorry, I'm telling you the whole story and I don't even
You're
care.
good.
It gives her a gift. Pills.
Oh.
So it's just, it's really sweet and fun. And we have looked at and read this book so many times. So when we were at the beach, we actually set up a little like shade pavilion thing and had a blanket under it. And I took books with me. So when we were taking those breaks to put our sunscreen back on, during several of those breaks, either we'd play Spot It to give ourselves a break from the sun, or we'd read our books to give ourselves a break from the sun. It was just kind of like our little oasis taking a break in there. And so we would take those to the beach with us to read. Um, for grown-ups, excuse me, um, the Misfortune Mystery most recent book, The Clue Crew, had just come out like a couple weeks before our trip. And so that was my main focus. But I also brought this one for backup. I've been going through this series by Bree Baker, and this one is like the fifth book in her series. And it's a call for kelp. And she has a tea shop next to the ocean in North Carolina or South Carolina, but right on the beach. And
That's where
she
I
has,
go.
I know, I think you'd like this series. It's pretty fun. The author, she's the same author as Jacqueline Frost. She just has a different author name for this book. So it's similar style to the Christmas one that we read last year. So I took that one with me. I had a Miss Fortune mystery. I also had some poetry books and I had notebooks because I always have notebooks. Like obsession is what I always do. I always have something to write with and on. Um, so those are the books. Amanda, are you taking anything with you to read this year?
No. I destroy every single book.
Oh,
Destroy it. Because water.
yeah.
So I always like the books just fall apart when I take them. I just
Mm.
quit taking them. Um, I have in the past taken headphones or like earbuds and listened to podcasts or audiobooks while I've been at the
Mm.
beach. Um, and that's been fun, but I get too distracted because there's the ocean and I just want to
Yep.
watch it and listen to it and just
Uh-huh.
relax. Napping on the beach is also
Totally.
highly recommended.
I napped this last time on the beach underneath our little pavilion thing, and oh man, that was great.
Yes.
I'm kind of an Olympic sport napper, and that was like right up there at the top. It was fantastic. It was a good nap.
Ge- Yeah. Get you some umbrellas or a covering of some sort, a beach blanket.
Hmm.
Can't beat it.
Best white noise there is.
Yeah.
Um, so the other thing that I wanted to talk about was like plan locally for things that you're going to do away from the beach. The huge amusement parks have their place, but I really don't care to go to them again. Not for a while, not until the kids are older. They're so expensive, and everything in them is so expensive. And honestly, that's the main thing you're going to go do. Go be at, as my father says, the mouse worship place, like worshiping at the house of mouse. Um,
We should play um what is it? Happiest Apocalypse on Earth.
yes, yes. That would be so ironic. I don't know if I could go to the park after that. Like, that would be kind of freaky. Um, so like I remember my parents taking me to Disney World. I remember them taking me to Busch Gardens. I remember them taking me to SeaWorld. I remember those experiences and they were good memories, but they're not something I need to do over and over and over again every year. Like they don't feed me and they don't fill me. And I know there are people who they do. Like there are people who are Disney people through and through. That is their vacation. They save up for it and they do it every so many years. And that's great. I'm glad that fills you up. It doesn't fill me up. I also don't have the budget for that. Like that's not a priority for me. Like there's some people who that's a priority for them. They love going to Disney and it fills them up and it's their priority. But for me, it's not a priority. For me, it's doing things that don't overwhelm me and fit in the budget and we get to experience the place that we're actually in. And like if I, for example, we went to the homeschool convention in Pigeon Forge, and there's all kinds of amusement things that you can do in Pigeon Forge, and they're great. And I want to do them, but I also want to experience the geography and the local things that are there too. Those are what I enjoy the most when I go to places. So that's why I go hiking. That's why I go to some place like Cades Cove. It's because I want to experience what's local there and unique to that spot, not something generic. Um, so we were in Panama City Beach, and there's so many little local things that you can do in Panama City Beach. So the last time we were there, they have a little zoo, and it is little. Like we're not talking big, impressive SeaWorld or something like that. But it was precious. And you got to be so much closer to animals than I've ever been in any zoo before. There was a lion that was right up next to the glass, and we got to watch him roar from about 3 feet away. And it was cool. We got to feed alligators, we got to feed parakeets, we got to be really up close to all the animals. And it was like $18 a ticket, something like that. So I'll take that over driving to Disney and fighting people all day long. Like that was really fun for us. This time that we went to I always get it swapped. I can't remember if it's Gulf World or Marine World. I think it's Gulf World. It's whichever one is in Panama City Beach where you can swim with the dolphins. And it is not very big. It is very small, but they take really good care of their animals. And you can tell, even though their spaces are small, they've got lots of enrichment that they do with them all the time. Um, and so the kids got to see a sea lion and a seal and a sea turtle, and they got to watch them feed nurse sharks. And we got to see a dolphin show and see the dolphins up close. And the tickets weren't $80 like they are at SeaWorld. They were 20. So that fit in our budget, and it's something smaller and local that we got to do. And it also wasn't so crowded that you're like touching people with your shoulders the whole time. So I really like research where you're going and find some cool little local spots where you get to experience that location for what it is. The other one that we did that I am so happy we did, we went to the marina and we got a boat tour that took us to a place called Shell Island. It's part of St. Andrews Park, like nature preserve and park. So there's no buildings, there's no outhouses, there's no toilets on this little strip of a barrier island, is what they call it, just outside the bay. And the boat ride was amazing. We got to see wild dolphins. We saw a pod of 30 wild dolphins, and we just got to sit there and watch them for a half hour, play and eat fish and be around the boat and ride the wakes of other boats. Got to see two baby dolphins. Um, got to see some kind of manta ray. Like, never have I ever seen like wild dolphins like this and wild manta rays. It was beautiful. Plus, this particular tour, they had placed crab pots and they pulled them up so that you and the kids could see what they would catch in their crab pots and you could experience what lived in the bay and what they could catch. And then, of course, it took you to Shell Island, which is part of the St. Andrews Park. Guys, I've never seen a beach like this in person. It was like I was on a movie set. It was perfect and beautiful and clear water. And you're allowed to take home any shells that you find as long as nothing is living in them, which I thought, oh, that's not going to be a problem. We're gonna find all the shells. It's going to be fine. Every stinking spiral shell we picked up either still had this snail thing that lives in it or a crab. We didn't get any spiral shells because they all had things living in them. But I did find a sand dollar, and that was really cool. So again, not super expensive either. I think that our tickets were around the $20 mark to get on boat. Um, just I loved it. We got to do three things for what it would have cost us to go to one major amusement park. And they were all very local, fun things to do there. Um, so that's my plug. Like if you love Disney, that's great. I'm glad you love Disney. But if you went to Disney and you're like, I don't really want to do that again, go check out some really local stuff and experience the place that you're going to in depth instead of just all of the generic stuff that goes on there. What you got, Amanda?
Um, I suggest going to small beach towns.
Mm-hmm.
So I know PCB is really getting a lot of popularity right now.
It's getting bigger, but it's
Yeah,
still
like
smaller than Panama City.
yeah. Um, a lot of the people from here will travel to two places, Myrtle Beach or PCB. Even I feel like Outer Banks is starting to grow.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people talking about that. We go two places. The first that we go to every year is called, okay, so overall we call it Pawleys Island, South
Hmm.
Carolina, but it is Litchfield Beach. So it's actually in Litchfield, but it is an hour north, I think. No, south. It's an hour south of Myrtle. And so you have the ability to go up and do some shopping or do a couple of shows or fun things or whatever. But it's so much fun to just travel around this little strip and find all of the cool things. Everything there's a mom and pop shop.
Hmm.
Everything. All of the restaurants. I can't think of any chains. The only chain is a local chain, and it's called Moe's.
Yeah.
Um, it's a really good barbecue place. Love it. I'm trying to think of what else. The shops are all local. There's no chain shops. Um, but then if you want that kind of thing, it's not that hard to drive,
Right. Right.
just down
It's
the
still
road.
accessible.
Yeah. Um, like I got to have my first crumble cookie just like 10 minutes down the road from where we were staying. So like it's still close, but in Litchfield, Polly's Island area, it's so small. Everything's mom and pop and it's beautiful. Then for some reason I want to call it Williamsburg. It's not Williamsburg. That's right down the road from me now. Um, Wilmington. It
There you go.
was Will
That
something.
sounds right.
We go to Wilmington with my mom most years. We're not going this year. We're trying something new because I love this beach. It's beautiful, but the sand is really thick. And when you have a toddler and you have to carry a lot of toddler items, it's hard to like get through the sand and stuff.
Mhm.
But we stay at um Shell Island. Shell Island Resort is the name of it. And the little island there is Shell Island. And then it's like 20 minutes from Wilmington.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of mom and pop places there, a lot of cute little diners or like bar type foods. There's a really cool, like, what's it called? Comic book store that we check out. So, and I feel like Wilmington is also growing in some popularity, but it's still not that busy. Like, I've never had a problem with
Mhm.
crowds there. There is a really cool boat ride that you can do at Wilmington, and it is you can choose which one you want to do. So you can go one direction. Um, so many. Its nickname is called Filmington
Mhm.
because so many things film there.
Mhm.
Um, and so you can go on a boat ride and it'll show you like all of these really cool things and like, oh, Matlock was actually filmed right here.
Uh-huh.
This is the fountain that you see him talking all the time, and inside there is where the courthouse is, and um, One Tree Hill was filmed there. If you watched the movie Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks, this is the restaurant that Katie worked at. Over here is where they filmed the scene in Iron Man 3. Um, I don't even remember what all. Like, it's a ton of stuff is
Mhm.
filmed there. And so they'll take you on the boat tour and show you all that. Last time we went with a boat a little farther down the strip and or the I guess the boardwalk. And we were the only people on the boat other than the captain and the first mate. And so he was like, private show? I don't what do you want to see? Do you want to see more boats? He's like, there's usually some type of animal over there. And we're like, yeah, let's do that with him, with the baby. And he's like, shoot, what's he gonna bother? Let him down, let him run. And so he just like ran around and had a good time. And then we got to go up and sit with the captain and talk to him for a while. And so that was really fun. It's a good time. I also advise going local as much as you possibly can.
Um, if you're wanting to go to Florida, one place that I want to check out that we noticed on this trip, and it's a little bit smaller, like Amanda was talking about, like a small beach town. I'm pretty sure it's called St. Thomas. And I think that's where we're going to try to go next time we go to the beach. Very similar actual beach part to Panama City Beach, but much smaller town. Um, so I think that'll be fun next time too. So yeah, just look for places like that. I think the big parks have their place. But I think we miss out on a lot of other opportunities when we're so focused on those. Also in Florida, y'all go to some of the natural springs. Like find some time, sometime in your life to go to the natural springs in Florida. They are amazing and beautiful and refreshing. They're just so cool. So, okay, moving on. Sorry, I could talk about that a lot. So the other section, got two more sections that I kind of wanted to talk about. The other one is just helping your budget because I'm assuming that most of our audience are moms And many of you, if you're homeschooling, you may be living on one budget or like one income or an income and a half, maybe. Um, and so budget is kind of a big deal. I know that's how it is for us. Like it takes a while for us to save up for a trip like this, and then we want to try to get the best that we can for our money. So these are some things that we do that work for our budget. They may not work for everybody with their scheduling and the way that their husband's jobs are, their jobs are, but this is how we manage to try to stay on budget. One big one for us is getting an Airbnb so that you can eat in. We only had one big meal out. We planned on it. We planned on a local place that had amazing seafood because we wanted to have seafood at least one time at the beach. And we don't make it often enough that I feel really confident cooking seafood. So we only ate out once. The rest of our meals were in the Airbnb, normal food, which was kind of dual purpose for us because with me and Tori and our food restrictions, it made sure that our food was safe, that we weren't going to get any reactions. But also, it meant that I didn't have to have a whole bunch of extra money in the budget for food. I could just use my normal food budget, what we would have spent that week, and just use that money instead. So with the Airbnb, it gives you that option. And a lot of times you can find an Airbnb just as cheap as a hotel room, especially right there along the beach. And you have a little more room to spread out and a little bit more breather room, I guess, for lack of a better term. Um, so that helped our budget a lot because it meant we didn't have to eat out. I would
I
say
also, sorry, I would also suggest checking Verbo. I know a
yes,
lot of people are having a hard time with Airbnb right now because of all the extra fees. I did a Verbo for the first time the other day. Well, the other day. It's been a couple of months ago now, but the interface wasn't as easy to use. Like it was harder to communicate with the host, but I didn't have those fees. So it's kind of
that's
like
good.
a trade. And sometimes Airbnb is the cheaper option. Sometimes it's Vrbo, so it's just good to check and see what what the best deal is at the time.
Yes. Um, for us, we hit a really good deal because the person that we were staying at was really new to Airbnb. And so they had like a buy at least get at least 3 nights and you got one night free. And but that being said, the fees alone cost us the whole night. So you do have to be aware of the fees on Airbnb. I agree. I have not tried Vrbo yet. I've seen them advertised, but I haven't tried them yet. So I need to try that next time and check it out at least just for comparison. The other thing I would say is, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I also just thought, um, my mother-in-law books our house on the first trip, and then the second trip with my mom, we usually just do a hotel. But you may also check with local places. And if you know, like while you're there, this is something I for sure want to do again, you can sometimes go in to their office while you're
Yes.
there, book that house or a different house if you want to switch for the next year, and they'll give you a discount.
Yes. So there's a place that we found through Airbnb in Little Nashville, Indiana. We found them through Airbnb, but they said if you book through us, like directly, A will give you a discount for coming back, and B, it's cheaper if you book directly through us instead of through Airbnb.
Yes.
So yeah, definitely look for things like that. Um, one of the ones that I have found helpful if you're specifically going to the beach is don't insist on beachfront. Like go back a row of houses, like just one row, and it changes the price drastically. Or if you're willing to walk a little bit, go a block away, and it changes the price even more. The first time we went, we were across the main drag. We were like in inland side across the main drag, and it was something like $300 a night less than the cheapest thing we could find on the other side of the drag, the main drag. And where we were this time, we had the sale things and stuff like that. But there's like the row of houses that's right on the beach. We were the row behind them. And if you were just comparing price, again, we were like $300 to $400 cheaper than the cheapest place right on the beach. And it wasn't a big walk. Like we're literally walking a half of a block, maybe.
Mhm.
And it wasn't across a busy road. It was lovely and it saved our budget so much. And we still were right by the beach.
Yeah. My mom insists, my mom insists on oceanfront. And
I would love that someday. It's not in my budget right now.
she will sacrifice any other thing she has to in order to be oceanfront. My mother-in-law doesn't care.
Mhm,
Her number one thing when she goes to the beach is that she wants a pool.
mhm.
That is not what I want when I go to the beach. However, I will 100% take advantage. Uh, so she
Yep.
goes, we did second row the first few years I went. Now we're doing third row. But in order to entice people to use houses farther away from the beach and have a longer walk,
Yes.
you will also find a lot of times they'll add like really cool features to the house.
Yes.
So the second row house we stayed in had a partially finished basement that was another room with a bathroom. And that was where Shane slept the year before we were married, and then that was our room every year after. So we had a private exit and entrance. But we were also right there at the pool and had a full outdoor kitchen.
Nice.
Yeah. The third row house we stay in doesn't have an outdoor kitchen, but it does have a bigger pool and a fully furnished basement
Mhm.
with three more bedrooms, a full kitchen, a living area, and two bathrooms. And you have to walk around. It doesn't have a pool access. You have to walk around. But oh my gosh. And like last year, that was so helpful because we were the only people that went. Usually we go with a huge group every year in our house.
Uh-huh.
And last year we had Shane and I, the baby, and my in-laws. And they took the top level and we took the bottom level. And we had an extra, like, we just pulled, he he may or may not have flopped out of bed on the very first night onto the concrete floor.
Ah, yeah.
Thankfully, he was not hurt, but we just pulled the mattress off the bed, laid it in the floor. He flopped off that twice,
Not as far as a fall
but it
though.
was, yeah, cried for a lot less. We were a lot less scared.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
yes, I highly suggest like finding a house that's not on the beach will often have some really, really handy features.
Yes. Ours came with pool access. The little community that we were in, we had a pool as well, and laundry features, of course, things like that. Um, but yeah, moving back from the beach. Someday I'm going to get to stay at the beach, like on the beach, like beachfront. I want to do that. I want to sit out there with my team, watch the sun come up and watch the sun go down and enjoy that. But we just got to go and hang out on the beach when the sun was going down this time. We just walked out there. Um, so another one that isn't as feasible for everyone, but please consider it, is going outside of the normal school schedule. If you watch Airbnb or any hotel site, really, it is going to be so much more expensive on spring break, fall break, Christmas break, and summer break. Like prices are completely different those times than during your normal school schedule because they have such an increase in traffic during those times and so many people go. We went weekend before Memorial Day weekend. Had we gone Memorial Day weekend, the cost would have been something like $150 more per night for the house that we were in because they have so much more traffic that time. And that house also goes up almost $200 more per night during summer. So if you can go, like even if your kids are in public school, just consider taking them out for a week that's not a normal space because a lot of times it doesn't matter for our husbands, like unless your husband also works in the school system, but it made such a difference for our budget, like to consider going outside the normal school schedule. And if you're homeschooling, it's not such a big deal. Um, but also, you're not going to deal with as much crowd if you're able to go outside the normal school schedule. Because the boat that we took, it was equipped to carry 200 people. There was only 30 of us on the boat. So we could have had freedom to walk around. We weren't crowded. Whenever the dolphins came, everybody could see. There was no pushing or fighting to see things. And they said the next weekend, Memorial Day weekend, it would be fully booked. Like it was already booked for one of the days on Memorial Day weekend, and the rest of the time it would be fully booked. Can you imagine? I mean, like I just having been on that boat with 30 people, I would lose my mind if I was on there with 200 people. Like
Yeah.
I kind of would probably have a little panic attack because it would be so full. Um, and the beaches are just totally different with tons and tons of people versus what they are when there's only a few people. So if you can, pick a day that's not a normal school break week or weekend. Um, the free things and local things that we talked about are going to be so much cheaper than your big standardized parks. Like I said, we got to do three things for the cost of what it would have cost us, even probably less than that because of the food considerations and things to get into somewhere like Disney or SeaWorld or Busch Gardens or something like that. Another one is don't buy your beach things at those specialty beach shops. I know they look really cool and tempting, but you're going to pay a lot more for your stuff in those specialty beach shops. And also, honestly, don't buy your stuff at home, the beach. Wait until you get there. Find yourself a Publix or a Walmart that's local to where you are, and it's going to be so much better equipped and it's going to be so much cheaper than what you would find at home or what you're going to find in the specialty beach shops. When we got down there the first night, I went out to Publix to get groceries. And before we had left home, I was like, man, I kind of wish I could get the kids a boogie board. I think they'd really like that. But all the boogie boards at home were like 20 and $30. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. As I'm walking into Publix, they have this big display outside and they have three sizes of boogie boards. And the cheapest one is $5. And the next size up is $7.50. We got boogie boards. And I wouldn't have been able to do that at home. On top of it, they had these huge bags of sand supplies that at home cost like 15, $18 or $5 and $7 for the same size of stuff. Same thing for like towels. If you don't have a swimsuit and you want a cheap swimsuit, if you need extra clothes, if you need sunscreen, if you need after sun care, Walmart, pick a Publix, someplace like that, and you are almost guaranteed to find something on sale or cheaper or more options than what you're going to find at home. Um, and then the last thing I think I have for that anyway is when we were doing our local things, I love to go to a local shell shop and there's so much fun. It's something we started when I was a kid with my mom and dad. And when you go to the beach, you don't find as many shells as you think you're going to as a child, right? Like you think you're going to find this bucket of all the exotic shells and you're going to get to bring them all home. And if you went somewhere like Shell Island, you might, because there are so many that are on that and there's so few people there. But on a normal beach, you're not going to find a ton of shells. So we would go somewhere and just Google shell shop near me, and you'll probably find a couple of them. And they're not the same as the big like beach supply stores. Um, but the shells are like a quarter, 30 cents or 10 cents. And they have every possible shell you can imagine. You give a kid $5, they're in heaven, guys. Like it's such a cheap, fun thing to do. And it gives you these cool, very memorable little souvenirs that you get to bring home. Of course, they have lots of other things there that are more expensive. But if you're just going there for the shells or for the saltwater taffy, you're set. Like you can spend very little money and feel very satisfied coming out of there. Um, those are my budget tips? Amanda, do you have any budget tips for trips?
No. I spend way too much. Nobody wants to hear my suggestions on budgeting because
Your
I
Virgo
don't
suggestion was good.
have one. Which one?
Your Virgo suggestion was good.
Oh, yeah, there's that. But I don't do verbo when I go to the beach. I do verbo when I go to the mountains. If you want to talk about saving money on the mountains, I got you. But beach, not so much.
Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and in a way, this feels the most important to me, but when you get to do this trip, everybody's excited about it, right? Like kids have been looking forward to it. You've been looking forward to it. Darling, with the most love in me, don't you dare let your concern for what other people are going to think about you keep you from being fully present with your kids and your family and yourself. Don't let what they think about your body in a swimsuit. Don't let what they think about the games you play with your kid, how your belly might be a little softer than you want, or jiggle a little bit when you throw that ball with your kid, how you're not tan, how your hair doesn't look just right, your makeup melts off in the water. Whatever it is that you're feeling insecure about, please leave that at home and go be fully present and enjoy yourself at the beach. Okay? Because chances are they're not thinking about your body. And additionally, you're never going to see that person again. They're not actually a part of your life. Their opinion does not matter. Okay? Because they are not part of your life. So please, please, please wear the swimsuit. Get in the water. All right? Roll around in the sand with your kids. Jump up and down. Okay? Like, go do it. Because your kids don't care about any of those things. They don't care about how you look in the swimsuit. They don't care about your freckles. They don't care about your stretch marks. They don't care about what jiggles and it makes you annoyed or embarrassed. They don't. They care that you're there with them and you're having fun and how you make them feel. That is what's important to them. And don't let these silly insecurities that we've built up in our heads keep you from experiencing those things. Um, they're they will remember and you will remember how you felt way more than how you looked in a swimsuit. And in addition to that, with getting in the water and getting in the swimsuit, get in the pictures. I don't know how many people that I've talked to that said, I don't have pictures with my mom and I wish I did. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your kids. Get in the pictures and smile because you get to go to the beach with your family. Like, enjoy it. Be there. Um, Speaking of swimsuits, didn't put this in the earlier part. I guess it kind of fits in the budgeting part. I know swimsuit shopping stinks. I think that's a universal thing. Um, so I want to share my hack for it, and that's online swimsuit shopping. Um, there's this website, and I call it Sheen. What do you call it, Amanda? Shine, Sheen,
It's Sheen. Like the
Sheen. Okay,
company has come out and said it's Sheen.
okay, good. That's good. Nice to know. It's Sheen. Um, So a couple of years ago, I went to Sheen, and you can buy a swimsuit for $12, like a two-piece or a one-piece or whatever. Um, and you don't have to deal with the awkward shimmying it off inside of a store and putting it back on. So I went and I got three swimsuits from Sheen, and then I got to try them on in the privacy of my own home and decide if I liked them or not. And they were cheap enough. Honestly, if I didn't like them, I wasn't going to return them. You can return them. They have a good return policy, but that wasn't worth it for me. And I was so pleasantly surprised. I loved two out of three of them. and I kept them. And so now I have three swimsuits. I have a one piece and two pieces, and they're fabulous. Um, and like, just don't
Amateur.
worry about it. I am an amateur. Yes, I am. I've got three sunscreen shirts though. I'm not getting burnt. That's not going to happen. Oh, also, if you're looking for sunscreen shirts, go to the fishing section in Walmart, and you will often find them on sale. Might not be the color that you want, but we found one for Chris and one for Eb for $7 a piece, and they're like a UPF 50 or something like that. They're great. So anyway, buy swimsuits, wear swimsuits, be in the pictures, be in the water, play with your kids, be fully there. Like, stop worrying and looking sideways about what's going on. Amanda, any advice for silencing those voices that might try to hold us back at the beach?
Drown them out with the waves.
Yes.
Just get in there.
Yes.
Like, I promise you, no one's thinking about you.
Mhm.
They are thinking about you as much as you're thinking about them.
Mhm.
Are you worried what they look like in their swimsuit? No. You don't care what they look like in their swimsuit. You only care what you look like. So just don't care. Like, nobody else is thinking about you. You think about yourself much more than anybody else does. Um, Completely different type of topic. My mom said the other day she was working on her porch and she had made a Facebook post and then we were talking about it on the phone and she was like, the best thing about living up in the head of a holler is when a good song comes on, I'm just gonna dance all over my porch and I don't have to worry about who's watching me. And I was like, I live in a subdivision. I'm surrounded by other houses. If a good song comes on, I'm gonna dance all over my yard and wave at the cars as they go by.
Mhm.
Like, I don't care. I'm finally to the age and the point that it's like, I don't I don't care. Like, laugh at me all you want. That's cool. I'll probably be laughing too. Um,
And it's
I
hard
don't,
earned, guys. I don't want to make it sound like this was easy for us to get to this point.
yeah, no.
This wasn't
Like,
easy for us to get to this point.
yeah. I have severe anxiety. Like, puts me in the bed, can't sleep, anxiety. On medication now, anxiety. It's taken me a long time to get here, but I'm finally to the point where it's like all I really care about is having fun with my kid and making sure that he has fun.
Mhm.
And once I came to that realization, it's like, oh, well, I wouldn't care. I have a neighbor across the street that has a 1-year-old. Like, I wouldn't think twice if she was dancing to Baby Shark in the front yard.
Mhm. Yeah.
Why
You
should
cheer her
I?
on. Go, girl.
I
You do
would
it.
probably join.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like just be present, have fun, stop worrying. I know that's easy to say, much
It
harder
is.
to
It's
do,
easy to say.
harder to do.
Well, like, I very intentionally, I didn't bring planning stuff on this trip. And
Hmm.
that's hard for me not to bring planning stuff. I didn't bring books about doing the things. I brought pleasure books. I brought books that are just fun and enjoyable. I I didn't bring any kind of work with me. I didn't bring any kind of like um, stuff I had to work on, like planning my garden, planning my year. Even though I'm tempted to do those things because they keep me from being fully present in the moment. And maybe you can do that and still be present, but they bring worry with them. If I was to bring those things with me, they would have brought worry with them too and anxiety with them. And I didn't want those things on my trip.
So I'm actually the exact opposite. I do so much better with a planner. We did it last year for the first time. Usually I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Oh, no, no.
And
I had a plan for the trip. I mean, I didn't bring my planner to plan out things after the trip.
oh, after the trip, oh well, I did excuse me, I did on the way home. Um, Excuse me. But for me, all the years before, it was like in my family, like we did all of the things. You wake up very early, you stay up very late because you've got to cram in as many memories as you can. You got to do all of the things. And then that wasn't my husband's speed or style. And so that was a hard thing. And I very much like crammed in as much stuff as I could into our trips. And it was fun. I loved it, but I was exhausted.
Mhm.
And then the first year with a baby, I still did all of the things. And it was like the second or third full day. And we got up and we went to the beach and we came back and we had lunch. And then we packed up and we went down to Myrtle. We did Broadway at the beach. And then we did the aquarium, which is at Broadway at the beach. But we also did like shopping and stuff. We stopped and ate snacks. We had a good dinner. And then by the time we got back home, the baby was so overtired that he just screamed for hours.
Mhm.
And we were like, we did too much. And so last year, I took my planner and I planned out, like, we sat down, where are all the places we want to eat? Where if we only do one thing, so like if you're going with us, Diana, if you only do one thing on this trip, what is the one thing you want to do? What is that for me, Shane, and then what is one thing we think E would enjoy? And then I sat down on my schedule and I planned something for every day for us. I put in those restaurants, when's a good time to eat at these restaurants, when's a good time to go based on the weather to these things. Like we did the dinosaur thing on a day that it was rainy. And so it's inside. Yeah, we're going to get a little wet, but we can take umbrellas and put a cover over the stroller and we get to shop and nobody else is really going to be there because everybody's trying to avoid the rain.
Mhm.
And then we plan like food around that. And so it helped me be more present because I wasn't so tired.
Mhm.
And I presented that to my in-laws that went with us because, like I said, usually in the past we have had my in-laws and then her best friend and her husband who actually just passed away. My mother-in-law's sister and her husband, and then Shane and I, and then so far had hmm, we've got to have my sister-in-law join us twice. So it's been really fun, and there's a ton of people. But last year it ended up being just the five of us.
Mhm.
And so I presented them on day one. Here is our schedule. These are the slots we have open. Would you like to fill in any of these slots with group activities? Also, if you want to join us for any of these things, know that you're welcome, but you are not required.
Mhm.
We would love to have you. If you have other plans, that's fine. And I feel like it made it just so much more peaceful and calm. And so Shane and I have discussed, we'll honestly probably do that today. Um, Making our list of this is the place we have to eat and these are the things we have to do. Where will that fit in? So I highly suggest that. And I
Yeah,
feel like I
I did
talk
something.
forever.
That's okay. We did something very similar with the actual trip itself. Like we looked at the weather ahead of time. What days are days we need to do things that are more inside things? What days can we schedule for the beach and for being outside? I did plan that, but I did not bring my school planner for the year, my calendar, my okay, what are we doing for 4-H? What are we doing for co-op? budgeting. Like I didn't bring that stuff. I didn't bring those things with me because they can bring anxiety. They don't always, but they can definitely bring anxiety. And they just distract me. They make me think about, oh, this is coming down the pipe, or I wish I'd done this differently. Like they put me in the past or the future instead of being where I want to be, which is in the present. Um, so yeah, I think being careful not to overstuff your schedule because this is supposed to be vacation. Although my mom and dad have a great term that we use, and they ask us, is this vacation or is this a family trip? Because they're very different things. A family trip is very fun, but it has activities and involves planning and you're doing things. A vacation is all relaxation. Typically more it's a grown-up thing and you don't have as many things scheduled usually, or there's just a little more like flexibility in there. And my dad said that that helped him a lot once they finally made that distinction because every time they would go somewhere, he'd be like, it's vacation. I get a break. I'm not doing things. I get to just be on my own time and my own schedule, and it's going to be relaxing. In reality, we were doing lots of things as kids, and you still need to have a plan. And so when he shifted his mindset from vacation to family trip, it was a lot more enjoyable for him and not so frustrating. Um, so those are my things I wanted to talk about. I think we ended up going longer than I meant to, but I liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed coming along with us. And I hope that your summer is so full of beautiful memories and time with your family and your beach time, should you get to take it this year, that you just get so, your soul gets so filled up by the sound of the waves and the sun and the time that you get to spend there, that you just get to soak it in and enjoy it. So, yeah.
When this goes up, I will be at the beach.
Yay!
And I will probably record next week's episode at the beach.
Woohoo! Except I'm going to be kind of jealous, but it'll be okay. Get over it. So, friends, we love you so much and thank you for joining us. And I hope that you find beauty in your unvarnished life this week. Until next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye.